So welcome everyone. It's so nice to have you here on this webinar today. And our guests are Dr. Jennifer Stelter and Jessica Ryan. And then we're going to hear from our own Ageless Grace trainer and educator, Peggy Kinst, who's already certified in this program they're going to be telling you about, which is an ideal complement to what we do in Ageless Grace. It's a wonderful program that that dovetails absolutely perfectly with everything we do, because most of us work with older adults, even though some of us also work with children. And when we work with older adults, it's not uncommon, sadly, that they do have some form of dementia or cognitive decline. And so the more we can all know about dementia and cognitive decline and understand how to work with it, how to spot it and recognize that it's there, the more successful we can be as Ageless Grace educators and trainers, and in sharing and offering this gift to the world. So let me tell you just a little bit about Dr. Jennifer Stelter. And she's also called the Oil Doctor. And she's a clinical psychologist, a dementia expert, and a Johns Hopkins Press author. And she specializes in dementia care. She has 20 years of experience, even though she looks like she couldn't possibly be that old, in the healthcare field, and over a dozen years in the senior living industry. Dr. Stelter is the CEO of NeuroEssence, LLC, at the Dementia Connection Institute, and the innovator and creator of the Dementia Connection model, and a master trainer for the Dementia Connection Specialist Certified Trainer Certification Program. She's also the author of The Busy Caregiver's Guide to Advanced Alzheimer's Disease. And you're going to get to hear from her next, but let me tell you first a little bit about her partner, Jessica Ryan. And Jessica's also called the Oil Mama, and she's had 20 years, I've known her for a long time, in education and a biology degree. She studied essential oils and its effects on the brain over 10 years. And she is an Ageless Grace educator, by the way, like most of you are who are on this webinar today. She's the CFO of NeuroEssence, LLC, at the Dementia Connection Institute, and has created the olfactory portion of the training, in which we'll learn about in detail today. And then I'll tell you more about Peggy Kinst, one of our own Ageless Grace trainers, and now also a certified Dementia Connection specialist certified trainer as well. So I'm going to turn it over to them and let you begin and hear more from them about what the Dementia Connection Institute is, what the certification is, and what that has to do with what we all do, or most of us do, as Ageless Grace educators and trainers. Welcome, Dr. Stelter and Jessica. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having us. We appreciate it. Just to apologize in advance, Jessica and I have a little raspy voice for fighting colds for different reasons, and so we will do our best to articulate so that you can hear us clearer. But thank you, Denise, for having us. This is a wonderful opportunity to speak to your community and anyone else who is able to join us as well. So Denise did a wonderful job introducing us, but we want to tell you a little bit about our personal stories as to how we got into the business and how Jessica and I aligned together to form NeuroEssence at the Dementia Connection Institute. So my journey, as Denise said, I'm a clinical psychologist by trade, and I actually started to enter into the field really through my own personal experience on my own mental health journey. And when I was in my own mental health journey, I was able to utilize a lot of different non-pharmacological tools that really helped me through that process. And so I knew I wanted to give back. And so I sought on the road to become a clinical psychologist at that time. And so my first half of my career was working in mental health. And I realized very quickly when I transitioned over to senior care, which was about 12 years ago, that the very tools that helped me personally, as well as helped a lot of my clients and patients, and through my experience and expertise, I can transition that over to individuals living with dementia. And so when I started to work in the senior living industry, I was really able to utilize those tools and to really see and prepare staff and caregivers with these tools that made them really feel accomplished when they were working with individuals who have dementia. We know this is a very difficult disease to navigate. And so the more tools you have, the better. And so in that process of developing the Dementia Connection model and consulting with a major long-term care company here in the Midwest, Jessica came knocking on my door. I actually attended one of her presentations, and Peggy Kinst, who's on the line, actually introduced us. And Jessica and I instantly connected. She had a very important tool that I had not brought into the realm and the environment working with those with dementia. When she had introduced me to essential oils, I knew, wow, this could really be a good experience. And so initially it was kind of one of those where she had to educate me a lot, because I knew about essential oils, for relaxation, you go to the spa, those kinds of things. And she said, no, Dr. Stelter, here are many clinical trials that you can look at that really show the indication for working with people with dementia. And I said, okay, you've got my ears now. And our relationship just really grew from there. So Jessica, do you want to tell about yourself?
Absolutely. So my name is Jessica Ryan. I'm a biologist and educator by profession initially. My journey is a little different. I began because my oldest son at 3 was diagnosed with sensory processing disorder, which is now a sensory integration disorder, and very shortly after that with ADHD. And of course, Ritalin and Adderall were brought to the table right away for him, for his behaviors and all different types of things. Basically to help his cognitive, things that he was working with cognitively, as well as his inability to focus. And so I probably was the most Western medicine minded person on the planet. And then when they wanted to offer it to my child, I decided to seek out alternative. And we tried a lot of different therapies. And I had an old friend who was a pharmaceutical sales rep turned holistic. And she introduced me to essential oils. And I, like Dr. Stelter, kind of had a crooked look on my face and thought that I'd have to get my cauldron out, right, and start witching it up. And found out that there were clinical trials attached to these, and began using them, and found out that there was a lot of chemical constituents in essential oils that actually were able to cross the blood-brain barrier and help with all different types of brain dysfunction. They worked. And of course, my biology mind just went absolutely nuts, and I began taking classes and courses and traveling and anything I could read involving that education, and began educating others on it. And of course, through those educational tools and workshops, I met a lot of different people. The first was Peggy Kinst, who kind of came up to me and said, hey, if this works for your child, I work more with vintage people, and would that help their brains? And I thought, well, I can't imagine why not. And so I kind of shifted a little bit, and that's how I got introduced to Dr. Stelter through some workshops with healthcare professionals. And we sort of clicked and bonded, and we have created some projects and brought both of our knowledge and skill sets to create NeuroEssence, which then led to needing to further, education when it came to dementia and to the people that are, affected by dementia itself. So we are super excited, and Ageless Grace educators really kind of bring the last tool, and we'll kind of talk a little bit about that for what we sort of bring to the table. So we're super excited to tell you about our program.
So to hop in, when we talk about Alzheimer's disease, it's so prevalent. More than 6 million Americans are currently affected. By 2050, they're actually estimating that more than 16 million Americans will be affected by this disease. And can you believe that actually someone develops Alzheimer's disease every 33 seconds? And unfortunately, it is the #1 diagnosis in seniors, and 1 in 3 seniors do pass away with this disease or another form of dementia. And so it's highly prevalent. It's not going anywhere. And when NeuroEssence first came to be, we focused a lot on brain health, and we realized quickly, and through a lot of my expertise and the model that I was developing, that there needs to be a realm that both family caregivers and professionals can go to be educated. And that really led to us developing the Dementia Connection Institute. The other piece of it is that within our industry, if you're a professional in the industry, we do know that most of the folks who were born between 1946 and 1964 are ones who are entering into senior living, where they're needing some kind of, whether it be independent living or assisted living or even long-term care. And so with that said, we do know that more and more individuals are being diagnosed. If you look at the industry now between assisted living facilities and skilled nursing facilities, 80% of those populations have some form of dementia, meaning they're on the spectrum, anywhere from mild cognitive impairment to late dementia, late stage dementia. And so it's really highly prevalent, and it's costly too. Right now, it's about $230 billion a year to take care of individuals who have dementia. And by 2050, they're actually estimating over $1 trillion. And this last fact I want to share with you is that really everybody still needs to be educated. Here, 45% of people with Alzheimer's disease or their caregivers report being told of their diagnosis by their physician, while 90% of people with the four most common types of cancer have been told of their diagnosis by their physicians. So we see here that physicians seem to be more comfortable talking about cancer rather than dementia. And for probably a couple of reasons. One, we know there's no cure right now for any form of dementia. Two, that physicians still need to be educated on this disease and the various types of dementia. And three, we do know that there are recovery rates with cancer, right? So all in all, from the top down, education needs to be spread. And so on top of that, CMS, so the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, governs a lot of the assisted livings, and they govern the skilled nursing facilities and even hospitals. And dementia education is a requirement in all 50 states. We also know it's a requirement internationally, not only just in senior living environments, but in hospitals, within certain professions. Here in the state of Illinois, that's where Jessica and I are from, the governor had actually passed in 2023, every licensed professional, whether you work with someone with dementia or not, is required to have 1 hour of basic dementia training per year. So it really is, the need out there is a call, right? We need to be able to spread this love of education of dementia care. And so really with that need, we developed the Dementia Connection Institute. And so our vision here at the Institute is that every person living with dementia can experience and navigate their world freely, because the caregivers and the professionals who are working with these individuals or caring for them are better educated. They're prepared and they're empowered to provide the best quality of care. When we as caregivers and care partners are educated and confident and competent in what we're doing, it allows that person with dementia to really live their life freely, how they need to live it for the time that they're with us. And so our mission through the Institute is to really spread that love of dementia care, right? That education that is needed. And so we have developed really innovative approaches to care, really focusing on non-pharmacological intervention that's natural, unique, empowering, and successful. And this is all derived under the Dementia Connection model that I created over a 12-year period. And so we hope that through educating people about what we do, that they're going to join us in this endeavor to really help to spread this love. And so at the Institute, we provide a few services. Mainly, we provide a lot of education and training to organizations who are in senior living, to hospitals, but also to family caregivers and the community. Right now, we hope that on the horizon, we can open up our own podcasts and produce some more publications. We do a little blogging right now, but some more publications to offer to you more in 2023. And we also offer consultation and support, which we'll go into here briefly at the end. But really, again, all of that we have to offer is based on the non-pharmacological approach to care, which many people want to learn more about. So I'm going to go ahead and play a video for you that talks about what is the Dementia Connection model, so you feel more understood about the model itself. I'm going to ask you if you can turn your volume up on your computer, because sometimes when we're virtual, this is the volume is very low. So I'll go ahead and play that for you. This may be familiar to you. All too often, you want the best for the person you care for.
but time and time again, the interaction just doesn't seem successful, leaving you feeling less connected to the person and potentially sad, frustrated, and hopeless. The Dementia Connection model brings together three known pillars in dementia care into one framework: the theory of retrogenesis, the act of habilitation, and using sensory stimulation to create sensory-based information for the person with dementia. The first pillar of the Dementia Connection model is the theory of retrogenesis, created by Dr. Barry Reisberg. This theory says a person with Alzheimer's disease loses brain functions in the reverse order that they learned them. Therefore, all their skills will go in reverse from adulthood to infancy, like how they walk, talk, take care of themselves, cope with stress, etc. Consequently, their chronological age will eventually not match their developmental age. Dr. Reisberg found that those with more advanced Alzheimer's disease may be in a state where their developmental age is anywhere between 7 years old to 4 weeks old. So, although you may be taking care of someone with dementia who is 80 years old, they may have the skill abilities of a young child. However, this theory does not support treating the elderly like children, although the acceptance of the person's current skill abilities is crucial to understanding what they can and cannot do, and to lower the expectations that the caregiver may have of the person with dementia. This allows you, as the caregiver, to be fully present, not blocked by thoughts that lead to sadness, frustration, and hopelessness. The second pillar of the Dementia Connection model is the act of habilitation. Simply put, it is important to consistently reinforce the skills the person still has. There are two known skills a person with dementia has as the disease progresses. One, because we know their skills are reversing toward a younger state, they will navigate their new world similarly to how infants, then children, navigate theirs, using their senses to take in sensory-based information. Young ones will use their senses to learn meaning, and then when things are called, from the use of auditory, visual, olfactory, gustatory, and tactile stimuli. Two, they can still feel a full range of emotions. Although they may not be able to express those feelings through word, they try to communicate them through behavioral expressions, similar to how children communicate before they know and understand words to describe their feelings. To put these together, stimuli from the outside, either directly or indirectly, influences the limbic system of the brain, which houses our mood and memory. So stimuli can influence our emotions and our memories. When we reinforce our emotional and memory skills in a positive way over and over again, those skills will stick around for much longer. Also, specifically, the person with dementia will start to associate those positive feelings with you, who is providing the positive stimulation, creating a deeper connection. Therefore, the third pillar of the Dementia Connection model is using positive sensory stimulation to create this sensory-based information for the person with dementia to take in that will influence their emotional and memory skills. So your approach should be using various sensory techniques that are positive and preferred by the person, like playing their favorite music for auditory stimulation, using essential oils that have therapeutic benefits for olfactory stimulation, offering their favorite foods for gustatory stimulation, reminiscing with pictures for visual stimulation, and painting for tactile stimulation. You can influence the person with dementia to feel happy, safe, secure, and calm, and also to be more focused and attentive. How great is that? The key to using the Dementia Connection model is the 3 R's: routine, remind, reward. Essentially, consistently use sensory stimulation cues, and it will boost the mood and memory of the person with dementia, and they will feel more connected to you. Also, a bonus, when you feel you've mastered this, then it will also boost your mood too, and you will feel connected again to that person. This may be familiar to you.
So essentially with the Dementia Connection model, it's really understanding the why. Why does this happen to the person I'm caring for? why aren't they able to do those things that they used to be able to do, right? So when you think about the theory of retrogenesis, it allows you to put yourself in that person's shoes. So that way you understand that their life is quite different than ours as an adult. They're experiencing their world like an adolescent would experience their world, where they use their senses to learn everything in the first 5 years of life. And so when we are intervening, or we're caring for, or we're communicating, we want to make sure we're focusing on what are those senses, what's that sensory stimuli that the person is taking in, whether it's negative, whether it's positive, because that's going to have a snowball effect. And so the Dementia Connection model you see on the screen here is a cognitive behavioral approach. Let me first talk about what is cognitive behavioral theory, just so we understand this. So typically as an adult, when we have a situation that occurs, we have thoughts about that situation that then generate emotions and then generate behaviors from that. It's like a snowball effect. With children, it's a little bit different. Before the age of 5, the way that their mind works is a situation occurs, they don't necessarily have formative thoughts about that just yet, but they have emotions that occur, and those emotions affect the behavior. So very similarly, because we know about the theory of retrogenesis, that individuals living with dementia are going to have the same process as young adolescents do, where let's just say a negative stimuli comes in, they're going to have a negative emotion that is generated from it that then influences their memory, and then they have an unproductive behavior. And this is because, again, they're taking in that stimuli and they're relying on that stimuli to navigate them. And it's all processed in that limbic system that has the amygdala and the hippocampus. The amygdala is responsible for the emotion, and the hippocampus is responsible for the memory, okay? And so let's take a typical process that may happen with someone living with dementia. Let's say there's a lot of overstimulation, bright lights, very noisy crowds going on, right? They might feel angry, worried, fearful, anxious. This may cause them to wander or have verbal or physical aggression. So when using the Dementia Connection model, what we want to do is influence and use positive stimuli like a calming environment, music, essential oils. These are the non-pharmacological techniques that we focus on, amongst a wide variety of other ones as well. What will happen then is it will generate positive emotions. They feel calm, happy, and secure, which will lead to some productive behaviors, like they're more engaged, they're attentive, they're socializing. And that's really the basis of the Dementia Connection model, is to really go in depth on this. And what's great about the Dementia Connection model is that it's not in competition with some of the other models you may have experienced in your career, or that you may have heard about in your own research. When you look at some that are on here, these are kind of some of the most famous ones that are out there. And the Dementia Connection model is more of a supporter of these. It explains why, for example, Teepa Snow's approach is so successful, or why Cameron Camp's Montessori method is so successful. So it's really a complement to these. It's not in competition with them at all. And so to read more about it, I did publish the book, The Busy Caregiver's Guide to Advanced Alzheimer's Disease. I go in depth about the model itself, as well as I go through a lot of intervention that you can use from a non-pharmacy sensory stimuli perspective. And there's also workbook pages in there that you can take notes throughout, so you can go ahead and log what tools worked, what tools don't work for the person you're caring for. So by the end, you have a full toolbox of intervention. But furthermore, you can go more in depth with our certification programs that we have developed for you. So we have 2 certification programs. One is called the Dementia Connection Specialist, or the DCS. The other one, which Jessica will go into, is called the Dementia Connection Specialist Certified Trainer Program. So I'm going to go a little bit more in depth to talk about what the DCS is. And so essentially it is for you to master that cognitive behavioral approach called the Dementia Connection model that we just talked about, right? So it describes more in depth those 3 key concepts of retrogenesis, habilitation, and sensory stimulation. And it's supported by Johns Hopkins. And actually this DCS is available for all professionals and family caregivers. It's really to help improve your understanding of this new model of care, so you can feel confident and competent when working with those who have dementia. And like I said, we focus on a ton of non-pharmacological techniques that you can use that are safe and practical and effective. And of course, they're clinically trialed. And so with that said, it really helps to boost those positive experiences for the person living with dementia. And again, as I mentioned, it's for healthcare professionals and family caregivers. So it's one of the first certifications out there that a family caregiver can take and be able to really embrace and be able to apply right away. And of course, for our healthcare professionals. We do hope down the line to expand this out to our first responders, to our dementia-friendly communities, and so on and so forth. So stay tuned to that. So what sets a certification apart? Because we do know there are other certifications available to you in the dementia care field. One is that you get to learn a new model of care, as we mentioned, and it's backed by Johns Hopkins. What's great is that if you are a professional needing CEs, you can receive 6 CEs by taking the DCS. It exceeds the regulations in all 50 states for compliance. So when we talk about that CMS requirement, you are going to meet your requirements taking this certification. What's also wonderful is that you're certified the same day. There's no extra steps, no further application processes, no further fees. You're certified the same day, which is excellent. We want to make it as easy and seamless as possible for you. It also can improve your staff skills. So if you're working in a community, it really can help to allow those people to gain more skills, to feel more confident in what they're doing. And if you're a caregiver, it's going to further your skills as well. Also within organizations, we do know that retention is really difficult right now, especially with the pandemic that occurred. And so when staff, there's research out there that shows when staff are invested in by the organization, they are more willing to stay on board and support the community or the organization that was able to invest in their education. It also can impact your clinical outcomes. You know, when you're working and using the Dementia Connection model, especially through my research, when I was applying this in a lot of various skilled nursing facilities and assisted living facilities, that we were able to improve our clinical outcomes. We were able to improve how individuals are improving their diet, improving their meal consumption. We had less falls. We had less people going to the hospital, right? We were able to reduce some psychotropic medications. So it really does help with those clinical outcomes. It also can increase credibility and marketability. So if you work in an organization, it really can help to boost your credibility in the market to say, you know, all of our staff are trained as DCSs. Or for yourself, if you are a caregiver or you're an Ageless Grace educator, that it really increases your credibility, that people want to go to you to say, you know, I have a loved one with dementia, or, you know, I work in a community and I love your expertise on this. So it really does help increase your credibility and marketability. And what's fun is that we have created brain games throughout the DCS certification. We do know sometimes when you're sitting in a long seminar, it can be tiring. And so we built in some brain games to really keep it engaging. But on top of that, we are very familiar with how the brain works. And so when you utilize brain games, you actually retain more of the information. So we set it up so it's a learning advantage for you or for anybody who's taking the curriculum. What's great is you also receive a workbook and your own very caregiver toolbox. So the various tools that we talk about in the program, you actually receive samples of that in a caregiver toolbox that you get to take with you. You get to play around with those in the certification. And like I said, take them with you home to use, whether you want to use them with the person you're caring for, or if you want to keep them on hand when you might need it. And if you're looking to do a private session, we do offer group discounts for the DCS training. So we're going to have you experience a little bit of a brain game right now to have some fun. So you all are muted, and that's fine. Just stay muted because what you can do is you can mouth the words or say it out loud to yourself wherever you might be. This is a pre-test, and then we'll get into the actual game itself, okay? So simply what I want you to do is just read the words from left to right. And I'm going to go ahead and say it out loud myself, and I'm going to point to each of them as we move along, okay? So let's get started. Red, green, blue, yellow, pink, orange, blue, green, blue, white, brown, red, blue, yellow, green, pink, yellow, green, blue, red. And so what we're going to do is we're going to kind of do the same thing, but we're going to read the color of the word. from left to right, the color of the word. Okay, let's get started. Green, red, blue, yellow, blue, black, red, green, blue, brown, purple, red, green, blue, yellow, black, purple, brown. Was that hard? Some people think it's really, really hard to do that because you're actually using different parts of your brain to be able to not say the word itself, but to describe the color. And so essentially, you're using some very key skills within your frontal lobe of the brain that houses your executive functioning skills. And so you're exercising those parts of your brain, which are really important for brain health. These are great exercises for you for all of us as we age. Great for our seniors as well that you might work with, and even more wonderful for those who are living with dementia who need some of the extra support with some brain health. So what is the curriculum? We often get this question. So what will you be training on if I take the DCS? So first, we're going to go over a basic understanding of what is dementia and really get into more in depth what is the Dementia Connection model. That way people understand and we all have a basis of what is dementia before we get into the other aspects. We're going to talk a little bit about person-centered care and what are the rights of those individuals, how to really be individualized with each of the approaches that we are offering to the people who are living with dementia. Then we're going to go into effective communication. We're going to go in depth about successful ADL intervention, how to engage in a dynamic way, how to handle challenging behavioral expressions, of course, using non-pharmacological interventions. There'll be information for you in the workbook about how to really make an environment dementia-friendly. We're going to talk a little bit about the mention and prevention of abuse, as we know that's a reality in dementia care. And of course, end with self-care. As the caregiver or care partner, how do you take care of yourself in order to be successful? And you can show up every day to take care of that person who's living with dementia. So why become a DCS? Really to help you decrease any frustrations you might have, because this is not just a singular disease that the person living with dementia is going through. It affects everyone around them. And so we want to be able to help you to decrease your frustrations and really come to a place of acceptance of what's going on so you can spend your energy really geared up with those skills and tools to use. We also want to provide you evidence-based, relevant information and resources, so the most up-to-date. We actually update our slides as new research comes out, so that way our trainers and ourselves are training on the most relevant information. It also will help you to input, validate, and deepen your content knowledge and your skill set in this area. It will help you to prepare you to apply safe, practical, and effective non-pharmacological techniques. Also to help you generate feelings of success when providing ADL care or engagement or communication, and really to deepen your connection with those you care for. The evidence that we showed when I developed the Dementia Connection model is that you will become more connected to that person because they're going to like how you feel around them. And so when you're using this model, it's actually going to strengthen your relationship, which is wonderful. And of course, there's much more. So the pricing for the DCS is $299, and that is a flat rate. There's no extra hidden costs or anything like that. With that DCS, as we mentioned, you'll receive 6 hours of validated dementia training, which puts you in compliance with a lot of the CMS requirements if you need those. Also, you provided 6 continuing education credits if you're a professional in the community. You'll be certified for 2 years. And at that 2-year mark, you'll simply take 3 courses online at our Dementia Connection classroom, and then you're recertified. Like I said, you'll be receiving the workbook and the caregiver toolbox. And if you want to utilize other classes in our classroom, you'll get 10% off our online classroom.
Okay, so we now also have a certification program where you are a Dementia Connection Specialist Certified Trainer, or a DCSCT. So you would join our team, if you will, to continue to spread the love of this particular training. So what is it? Basically, what you're doing is taking all of that information that Dr. Stelter just gave to you, and you'll be able to educate others and spread the love of dementia education by joining that team as a DCSCT. You also, which is a great side thing, is you can add some money, right, to your repertoire. You can earn extra money, or you can save money for a particular organization if you belong to one. So you can get paid $100 for every student you train, or if you're a trainer for your organization, then you can save them $100 per student. This is really for healthcare professionals like yourselves that are involved with these types of individuals. So why should you become a trainer? You're going to increase your credibility as a treating professional in this field. As Dr. Stelter said before, the more you know, the more you can transfer that information and help those either family caregivers or healthcare professionals that are dealing with folks with dementia. You can assist in the widespread need to train others on this disease. One of the reasons that I got involved in this program was because I saw from a personal level how many folks work with individuals with dementia who had a lack of education and understanding, which really created substandard care for them. You're going to be able to provide training to staff or family caregivers. And as Dr. Stelter said, this is now also for family caregivers. So it's not just for the healthcare professional. So this can be for someone whose, mom just got diagnosed and they don't know what to do or they don't know what to expect. And that's going to boost their content knowledge and their skill set in the areas of dementia. And obviously at the end, it's going to positively affect their health outcomes for the person being cared for, creating patient-centered care. Of course, now we are seeing that state governed and CMS regulations require a dementia leader in every healthcare organization in senior living. We're starting to see it at a state level that people are now seeing that there is a need for more education. And you'll be a resource to your education by bringing solutions for behaviors or issues that might arise. And one of the great things is that we use sensory tools or non-pharmacological tools. And one of the things that we don't have in our program is a movement piece, which is why we thought that Ageless Grace educators would be sort of that missing puzzle piece and a great affiliation to our program. The pricing to become a trainer is $19.99. So you will get the DCS and then it's an additional hour of training after the DCS. So you get 7 hours of validated dementia training, and continuing education hours are included if needed as a healthcare professional. You get immediate certification that's valid for 2 years, at which time you would take 3 more classes at the Dementia Connection Institute to continue your certification. You'll receive a workbook, a trainer workbook, as well as a seminar, My Toolbox. So we do a lot of brain games and a lot of interactive type engaging, with our students. As an educator, there are 7 different types of learning, and we've incorporated all of those types of learning for all of our students, and so that it hits everybody's style of learning. Right? You will receive digital marketing materials, whether you're going on social media or creating email campaigns around your trainings. And you will receive 20% off of our Dementia Connection Institute's online Dementia Connection classroom. So kind of to show you, if you hosted one seminar with 20 people, you've paid off your training program. And this week, we have for National Assisted Living Week promotion, you will get 10% off all of our certification programs through the end of the year. So if you sign up for any of our programs through December, you'll get 10% off of that. If you want to write this down real quick, when you put in there, you would apply the promo code AL10, and that ends September 17th.
Alrighty, so outside of the certification programs, we also do provide a lot of continuing education, both trainings and presentations. So these are 1-hour presentations that service maybe some marketing within organizations if they're looking to host, or the community if you're talking to maybe like a park district or senior living community, something like that. It could be for family events or family education. So I want to just quickly show you, I'm going to navigate away from the PowerPoint real fast. Our institute itself, this is our homepage. If you kind of scroll down, you'll see here a list of our CE presentations, trainings, and seminars. And so you'll be able to see here that we offer a wide variety of presentations that, I know it's kind of hard to see here. Let me see if I can blow this up a little bit. There we go. That revolve around dementia care. So anywhere about, the basic dementia training that some states are moving to, that's a requirement for licensed healthcare professionals. That's the Understanding Dementia one. We talk more about person-centered care. We developed the perfect day in dementia care, which you can read more about in the book as well, and so on and so forth. So there's several pages here, but I just kind of wanted to show you that real fast here. So with that said, it's a lot that we can offer you. So I'm trying to navigate back to my PowerPoint. We provide these 1-hour presentations to you, and our pricing and whatnot is on that document too. And as we mentioned, we have the online Dementia Connection classroom coming soon. We hope to launch this by the end of the year, where family caregivers and professionals can log on and receive training at their convenience. And so with that, they'll be able to log on and receive the training, and if they need continuing education, it will be granted to them as well. So stay tuned for that. And last but certainly not least, we do provide consultation services. And so we do partner with organizations in senior living to help provide consultation, anywhere from program development to supervision around some maybe challenging behaviors, to helping them market their program. So we offer that. And then we also offer private one-on-one sessions to family caregivers who are trying to navigate this very difficult disease. And so we kind of work through a lot with them and educate them about the diagnosis, the progression, what to expect, how to connect to services, allow them to kind of process and vent, so it really just that time that they need, and the number of sessions would be determined based on, what they're needing from us. So we do offer that as well. And so all in all, those are what our services are. We do hope that you can engage in our services by going to our website at dementiaconnectioninstitute.org, or you can simply email us at support@neuroessence.org. So we want to thank you for all of your attention and your willingness to be on today. And I know, Peggy, if you want to go ahead and share a little bit about your experience in working within the Institute.
Just so everyone knows, Peggy is an Ageless Grace educator and has been an Ageless Grace trainer for 12 years. And she can tell you about her recent experience with the Dementia Connection. You're muted, Peggy.
Mute.
There you go.
It says the host is not allowing participants to unmute themselves.
You are unmuted because I made you a co-host.
Okay, so you can hear me?
Yes.
Well, I'm really excited. I thought that Ageless Grace was the end all be all of wonderful things for me to do after being in the wellness field for 50 years. But having met Jess and learning about essential oils and creating the aroma techniques, and now I have been trained as a dementia specialist in 2 other organizations. And so I was a little bit not knowing, but when I saw the models of the Dementia Connection, it's just lovely. I mean, we're so gifted to be able to have 2 programs, Ageless Grace, and certainly as a component to the Dementia Connection specialist. I went through the training about 2 weeks ago, and I can't stop thinking about it. It's wonderful. It's not even something that is just for dementia, but to use the retrogenesis and habitation, and just the ability to look at someone who is going through dementia and be able to understand what that person needs and how to treat them with dignity, and understand that they have that not disability, but they have great abilities, but they have a condition that makes them appear and act more like children. Not that we would treat them like children, but that there's so many more ways to show them dignity and love and kindness, and So I'm very excited. I'm excited to talk to, I've already talked to a couple, I did an Ageless Grace seminar in Chicago this weekend. And you can even bring it into your Ageless Grace trainings because you're talking about working with the vintage market, and not only is Ageless Grace for the body and the brain, but it's also that the Dementia Connection is also working with the same modalities, and that we have a whole new movement model that we can bring in, because I see, a lot of the tools that we can help understand, and some of us work with nursing communities, and we have seen the changes that can be done with movement and brain, and then to add dementia and all the wonderful things that Jess and Dr. Jen are doing is very exciting. I'm very excited.
Excellent.
So thank you both,
And
all of you.
as soon as I talked to Dr. Stelter, and I've known Jess a long time, and of course Peggy a long time, about this program, I got really excited because I feel like they're missing the movement component, and we have no real training in understanding cognitive decline, not just dementia, but all different kinds of dementias, including Alzheimer's. But there's also a recognition factor to being able to understand cognitive decline and dementia, so that you start to see when it's beginning to show up in your students, in your clients, in your one-on-ones, in your workshops or seminars or trainings. I have noticed a lot of people as they're beginning at the very beginning stages to have some form of dementia. And it is a valuable tool to understand that that is happening with the people that you're working with as you teach your classes or work for a CCRC, for example, a community that provides independent living, assisted living, skilled nursing care, long-term care, memory care, all those types of facilities. And those are exactly the types of places, as well as senior centers, hospital wellness centers, that we all are teaching who are Ageless Grace educators or trainers. And so I just feel like this is sort of a missing puzzle piece for both people who are already certified in Ageless Grace and for people who are certified as a Dementia Connection specialist. So I would like to allow everyone to unmute themselves, and we have just a few minutes left in the hour so that you can ask questions of Dr. Stelter or Jessica or Peggy. So I'm going to go in right now, and I'm going to see if I can allow everyone to unmute. Now, everyone should be able to unmute yourselves. And in order to do that, I did have to stop the screen share, just so you know. But now you can unmute yourselves and ask questions. And I typed the NeuroEssence email into the chat. If you missed that and weren't able to get it off the screen, it's in the chat. Anyone, questions?
Hi, Denise. I'm a recent Ageless Grace educator. And, oh, sorry.
We can hear you.
Oh, okay, because I noticed Rachel had her virtual hand up. Sorry, I interrupted.
That's okay.
I just wanted to thank both of you, women, actually all three of you. I think this is so important for us to be aware of. I have friends. We had a friend who had Alzheimer's and actually passed away, and a friend whose husband's got it. And the figures that you were talking about are staggering as to what's coming. I mean, eventually, I guess they'll find a cure or the cause of it. which I'm always hopeful for. So I can see me sort of, when I go into, say, a senior's home, which I haven't done yet, just be more aware and sharing this information. So I'm grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne. And Rachel, just before we let you ask your question, I'd like to point out that just in the hour that we've been doing this program, based on Dr. Stelter's statistics and Jess's statistics, over 100 people were diagnosed with Alzheimer's. Rachel.
Yeah, hi. I was wondering, is there a list on your website of trainers in different, so that reach out to a specific trainer, or even just know how many there currently are in different areas?
Sure. So
Trainer.
So we actually launched this in the summer for a soft launch, and this month is actually where we're live and we're accepting applications for trainers and for DCSs. And so we currently have 5 trainers on board that came on during the soft launch period. And we are working to put a team page up on our website at this time. However, if you go to our website and you click the certification programs button, that will take you to explain the certification programs. And then when you click register, that will take you to all the dates that we have available for both the DCS and the trainer portion, depending on which one you would like to take. And so we have actually a couple of trainers already have their dates posted, as well as Jessica and I continue to train as well. And those are scheduled throughout the rest of the year. And as Jessica mentioned, take advantage of our discount definitely this week to honor Assisted Living Week. It's 10% off both programs. So if you schedule this week, any seminar through the rest of the year, you get 10% off. And so the code I'll put in the chat box, just so that way everyone has it again, but it's AL10. So capital A, capital L10 is our discount code. So we're working to grow our trainer community. Like I said, our mission is to spread the love of dementia education. So we would love more trainers to come on board and help us do that throughout the various states. We currently have one in California. We have one in Florida. And we have a couple here in Illinois. So we would definitely love to be able to do that. We do offer our services nationwide as well as internationally. However, we are working to get the certification programs certified internationally. So content is still relevant, obviously, but we're working for that international certification for the 2 specific certification programs we talked about.
So it's also a really good opportunity to become a trainer right now, because there's very little competition in your area yet. So because of it just being such a new program.
That's actually part of why I was asking.
Yeah, I got, yeah. So, yeah, it was a really good opportunity, for folks to become trainers, because the market is not saturated, if you will, right? So, and we offer virtual trainings as well. So, Dr. Stelter and I are in Chicago. So we're flexible to grow our community. So if you wanted to reach out to us on how you wanted to see that happen, we can definitely make some different things happen.
Great, thank you.
Absolutely.
Anne, you have a question.
Hi, I'm Anne. I'm also a certified neuro nurse and a certified integrative nurse coach. And I also am now a caregiver since my spouse was recently diagnosed. So, and I'm looking to, I have training in essential oils, and I think this would be a great opportunity for me. I also am a recent trained in Ageless Grace. So, I'm really interested in your specialist program, and I can also connect you to holistic nurses and holistic nurses groups and things like that. And I'm from Baltimore, so I'm very familiar with Johns Hopkins. So anyway.
It's good to meet you. Thank you so much. Yes, we would definitely love to have you as a part of our community. We're very excited because it does fit different facets and brings a lot to, what we're trying to bring to, the dementia sort of education portion of it. So,
and I live in the Space Coast in Central Florida area now. So
Very good.
And Anne, I saw you had an earlier question about clinical outcomes. And so when I was developing the Dementia Connection model, I had the opportunity to be able to practice this in 35 communities. That was a range of independent living to assisted living and skilled nursing. And then, because it's newly launched in my book, which came out in October of last year, and then we just developed the Institute here in January. So it's fairly new in terms of people understanding and knowing about the model. But when we bring this into organizations, we will be able to replicate what I did in the other organizations, the other facilities, to be able to have them capture data on how successful it is for them as well. But it was a great opportunity to be able to implement it in about 35 communities thus far. So
Well, that's great. I would love to be able to network with you more, and my background is stroke care, and I also have been approached recently by a practitioner here, in a physician in Central Florida, to set up a post rehabilitation program for stroke. But of course, as you know, a lot of stroke patients have vascular dementia that could just be totally in line with that. So
excellent.
yeah, great.
Thank you.
There's also a question, if you would look in the chat box, Jennifer or Jess, wondering if essential oils is part of the training.
Yes.
Absolutely. That's our olfactory portion. So as a matter of fact, in different facets throughout the entire program, we not only educate you on the use of essential oils, how to use them, the safety of essential oils, but specific chemical constituents in essential oils for different behaviors and different ADLs and different things that are going on within each of the modules.
And so to complement what Jessica said, so we go into each sense and we provide you a variety of tools for each of those senses. And so, like she said, for the olfaction, we go in depth about essential oils, and then we go into visual tactics and auditory and tactile and gustatory. So you walk away with a full complement of a variety of tools. So
I also just want to mention something before I get to you, Boo, that almost everyone on the screen is an Ageless Grace educator in the webinar today, and those who have registered for this evening and who will be seeing the recording. But we had a question from someone who said they wanted to remember how to recertify to be an Ageless Grace educator. And for example, that's one of the things that Peggy does, as well as other trainers for Ageless Grace. They offer you a 3.5-hour recertification, which is done annually, and you pay, that costs $50, and it's a wonderful review for anyone. And they also have a $45 annual fee, so $95 and a 3.5-hour certification that you can do online or you can do in person. And then there is a variation of that you can do that's self-guided, and you take a test at the end, and you can sign up for that too. They're all on the Ageless Grace website under our training, and it's just called the recertification, because some of you may need to recertify if you're wanting to take the Dementia Connection certification and then put it to use in your classes and start teaching again. I know that some educators have not been teaching because they stopped during COVID and just haven't started back again. But know that most CCRCs, for example, all the different levels that I mentioned earlier, are now opening and begging for people to come back and teach classes and courses to keep their residents active and happy and socialized and interactive again. So this is the best job market in the world for an Ageless Grace educator or a certified dementia specialist right now, or a certified dementia specialist, certified trainer as well. And we had a hand up and it's gone now. How did that happen?
I lowered it. I lowered it.
Lowered it.
Yeah.
Did I answer it, Boo?
No, actually I do. I just didn't want it to be waving in your
Oh,
face.
well,
So my question is two things. I have a sister with Down syndrome who recently moved into a memory care unit, and I work for the Down Syndrome Association of Central Ohio. So I was curious if you'd had much experience with people with Down syndrome and Alzheimer's in this process.
They're very similar types of diseases in that the sensory component is going to be crucial. And so it applies to individuals who are on the spectrum of Down syndrome, as well as individuals are on the spectrum of any type of intelligence disorders. And so it's great because you can really generalize it to a variety of folks who are unfortunately having to manage those diseases, because any positive stimuli that's coming in is going to influence those positive emotions and memories, as well as positive productive behaviors. And so it certainly can apply to that population as well. And as we know, and it sounds like what maybe the experience of your sister is, that people with Down syndrome, there's a high prevalence rate of Alzheimer's disease. And so there is definitely a correlation there as well. So.
And to piggyback a little bit off of that, I actually started with children, with autism, ADD, ADHD, all types of different neuro disorders. So a lot of these sensory tools are going to be, successful for those. So yeah, to answer your question, absolutely.
Thank you.
I see a question here that came to me privately asking about the recertification process for the DCS or the DCSCT. So simply what you're going to do is you're going to log on to our online classroom and take 3 courses within that 2-year period. And then there's a nominal fee that's required. And that's for both the DCS and DCSCT. And your certification is good for 2 years. Now, for our trainers, on top of that, there is a requirement that you at least host 2 trainings in that 2-year period, and that you attend our quarterly meetings. We have quarterly meetings where we bring all the trainers together virtually, where we talk a little bit about, what's changed in our curriculum. We provide, various tips and tricks on how to market yourself. We plan to do some fun games, all those kinds of things, just to kind of come together and network amongst each other. And so there'll be 4 meetings a year, again, virtually for that too. And one thing I wanted to note as well is, I'm going to add this to our slide for our night class, is that for a trainer, you can actually train virtually or in person. So it's really up to you, your comfortability for both. So you have the option, Jessica and I do both to reach a greater audience. So there's that flexibility there as well.
I also want to mention that some people who are on here today are Ageless Grace trainers as opposed to Ageless Grace educators. And the process for the Dementia Connection is similar. We have the certified dementia specialist, and then you also have the Ageless Grace educator, and then you have an Ageless Grace trainer, and then you have a trainer for the Dementia Connection as well. You do not have to be an Ageless Grace trainer in order to be a Dementia Connection trainer. So just so you're clear on that, it doesn't mean that you can't do it if you are an educator. You can still become a trainer even though you're not an Ageless Grace trainer. Just wanted to clarify that. Rachel, is your hand still up, or do you have another question?
No, it's not. I'm done. I mean,
okay. No problem. I just wanted to be sure. I didn't want to neglect you.
No, thank you. Just forgot to.
Okay, not a problem at all. If any of you have other people who you think would benefit from hearing this program, number one, you will get a recording, but number two, there is another one tonight at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. And you can still go on to the agelessgrace.com website under training, and you'll see it listed there as the 11:30 this morning, and that is over, and the 6:30 p.m. tonight, so you can still have friends and family sign up if you want to. I do want to say this, that most of you know me, and you know that my mother had Alzheimer's and another couple forms of dementia as well. It was a complicated, complex case, and I would give anything if I had all of these tools. I did take a dementia training course. However, that was a long time ago. They didn't know nearly as much as they do today. And they certainly didn't have as the non-pharmacological solutions that Jess and Jennifer have from my mom. And I would have loved to have had this information. So I just want to point out to all of you that even if you're thinking right now, well, no one in my family has dementia, I don't really need to know this, or I'm not teaching Ageless Grace right now, I don't need to know this and use this with my students. Sadly and heartbreakingly, I can tell you that if you don't have someone in your family or someone in your classes now with dementia, you will have. You saw the statistics, and it's huge, it's prominent, it's so many places that it's nearly an epidemic. Maybe it is an epidemic. And so to have this information and to be armed with these tools would just make your life greater, because it's very distressing for those of us who have had loved ones who have died from Alzheimer's. It's very distressing to live for 10, 12, 15 years, maybe longer with and not have the tools to be able to feel like you're helping them or understanding them or communicating with them. So, Dr. Stelter or Jessica, do you have anything else you'd like to say before we close? Or Peggy?
Yes, I just want to say thank you for your time. I know everyone is very busy with day-to-day responsibilities. So we appreciate you taking the time today to learn more about our model, our institute, and what we have to offer, our new certification programs. And we do hope that you'll take advantage of what we have to offer. So thank you so much.
And thank you both for being here. I really appreciate it. And thank you all for coming and listening. And I hope your eyes were opened about the dementia that is in our world today.